Hello everyone, my name is Ezekiel. Hope you are doing wonderfully. In today's video, I will be walking you through how I mix the lead saxophone to shoot out and sit well in the mix. I'm going to be walking you through each plugin that I use and how I use them and what they did for me. But before then, I would love to play a little part of the music for you so you have understanding then before I walk you through that. That's just a little part of the song that you have just listened to. Just about this project, one of my friend in the UK, they started this production, and after being done with the first production, after the sequencing, laying down the keys and some other things, so the data was sent to me and I developed it. I added more to the drum part and some other places I punch in, and also where I put in my guitar solo. I did all of those things. After being done, then I sent it back to them back in the UK. So for them to be able to have something nice to play with, then it was sent back to me. I did a little bit of the mixing so that it can sound more pleasant for the saxophonist to be able to enjoy himself as he's playing after being sent back to me. So this is the mix that I've done, and I sent two, three different mix to them. So for them to choose one, and the one they took. So firstly, I will need to quickly show you some little parts here. Listen to this section, how it sounds like. That's another part that you have just listened to, whereby the saxophone that section, that part was actually very low, so I have to boost it up a bit. Like I said, I wouldn't want to boost it too much to have the same level with the rest of the signal, because it's not a thing that we have a limiting clip, but the emotion, the dynamic still have to be there, but we still have to hear whatever the note that the saxophonist is playing. And now, what I'm going to be doing for you is to open the plugins. I'm going to be bypassing the old plugin. I'll play it so you'll listen to the difference between the processed one and unprocessed signal. That is it without being processed and with a processed signal. So now I'm gonna be turning off everything, then I will open it one after the other. Then I'll explain what I do, what I use, and how I use it to you. So the first thing that I use here is Vocal Strip 64. This is a stock plugin by Cakewalk by BandLab. If you're not using Cakewalk, you could have other channel strip that has similar features which you can use to do the same job that this one is doing for me here. You could have put in some other plugins together. The beauty of it is that if you are putting the plugins, it's more beneficial, it's more of advantage for you to use plugins like a channel strip that has more features, different features, whereby you can use as one bundle instead of you putting multiple plugins that you're going to have numbers of plugins in your rack. So the first thing that I do to have a punching signal and a clean signal for me is I'm using the compound here, which is also the expander and the compressor in VX64 vocal strip. So what this one is doing for me is punching my signal, and it's also to compress and also bring out the signal, makes it to sound huge. Listen to the difference. Now I'll turn it off and on so you listen to how it sounds like. The beauty of this one is the same way it's compressing the signal, the same way it brings it out. You cannot feel a kind of hard compression on the saxophone, but yet there is still much compression on the saxophone, but it doesn't spoil my signal. This is one of the beauty because it compress and also bring it out so that it can be more audible and more body even to allow it to sit in the mix. So next thing I did here is I'm using the tube equalizer. I'm boosting up to 8K, the highest get up to plus 12. Then I'm at alternating minus 2 dB on 533 hertz to take out the muddiness from the signal. Then I'm also using the SR. This is cleaning up a bit of the harshness on the high frequency of the saxophone. Then the next thing which I also do is I'm applying the delay and also I'm using Dodge 16 to add more tail and to create a kind of beauty onto the saxophone with a delay. Listen to that part now. So that sound more like a slap delay the way I did it here. That's about VX64 channel strip. So the next plugin which I'm going to be showing you is Lindell 69 channel strip. Basically what that is doing for me, it add more character, more warmness, and my audio sound really like it was recorded on a professional analog console, not just an audio interface. So what I'm doing here is I'm using Lindell 69 channel strip because especially these days, I'm doing most of my mixing with Lindell 69 series now because of the character. Even without tweaking anything on it, when you just put it on your signal, it brings out more details and more character into the signal. I love the result of Lindell. It makes my mix to sound bold, more fat. It gives me the result which I really want and what I really focus in kind of the tone that I want in my mix. And there's another topic on that, understanding the kind of plugins that are used for your mix. I'm boosting up to 4 dB on the 10K. I'm also boosting on 700 hertz up to 3 dB. Then 100 hertz, I'm boosting about 3 point something on dB on that to have more body and for it to sound bold to meet up with the rest of the mix. Then the compression I'm doing, then I don't do much. The threshold is minus 4. My release is 200 dB. My release time is 200 ms. And then my threshold is 5.1. I want the amount of the compression, not the compressor on it, not just to compress, but there's a way the amount of compression, there's a way it affects the character and the tone shape of a signal and the smoothness of the signal, which I really want. If you listen to it very well, it doesn't compress so much. Let me play it one more time and you listen to it. I will turn off the compressor and I will turn it on. While listening to it, you really hear the difference on the loudness of the saxophone between each other. Of course, there's a difference, but it's not that obvious that the compression is doing much because of this setting that I did on that. Another plugin which I would love to show you is Supercharge. So I'm going to be demonstrating this one. I'll play the song for you. You listen to the saxophone without and with, then I'll show you the little thing that I do on that. Okay, so let me explain to you, let me just show you the simple thing that I did on that. On the character, I boost up to 8 dB on the, I switch to fat, which to enhance the frequency response of the saxophone. The fat doesn't just fatten the frequency, but it's also add more coloration on the high end. So I really love the way it sits in the mix. And then on the saturation, I'm leaving that on default setting because I don't want too much of a fuzzy tone on the saxophone. And the next thing is my threshold 3.20, then the attack setting is 4.3 ms. Also, the threshold, I'm using this one to control the character of the signal from one compressor to another compressor to another compressor. So I'm just doing a subtle, not really hard compression, the coloration, the character, the smoothness, and the energy in the transient. This is one of the things I'm using the supercharge to do before I go into other plugins. Let me just quickly explain the character. This one is introducing into my mix. It enhances the stereo image of the saxophone and it adds more to the saturation, to the coloration. It adds more energy into the transient of the saxophone that I'm working on. I'll toy around with the settings so you can hear the difference of the coloration that it has on the settings here. That's about the Abbey Road vinyl. I love to use this one some of the times on my master mix box. And the last thing that I'll show you, which is not much, is that I use Linda 69 boss login. The reason when I'm using it, I still want the console character in my mix. So I'll play it, then you'll listen to the difference that it's making and the character, how it makes my mix to sound good and sit in the mix. This is all about the Linda 69 Boss plugin. I love what it's doing for me. Okay, let me quickly tell you something I loved about it. It's added more, not just coloration, adds more energy into the transit of my signal. It's allowed the signal to be more strong a bit and with a robust tone or tone coloration with the THT. I love what it's doing. This one is in default setting, which is 0 dB. It makes it to glue and sit well in the signal. Since I've learned about the Lindell plugins, I so much love the character of their console, especially Lindell 69. Let me play the music again, and then I will turn off and turn on the whole plugins. Alright, that's all about today's video. If you really enjoyed what I'm doing, please, I need your contribution by clicking on the like button and subscribe to the channel and also share it. Drop a comment below. How do you mix your brass, ensemble, or saxophone or individual solo instrument? Thank you so much for watching this video. See you next time. Bye.